Sawmills are an important sector of the forest products industry in the South, producing lumber for both residential and commercial construction. Trees are processed into lumber by sawing logs into desired shapes and sizes, which are then dried to achieve dimensional stability and planed to the desired dimensions and surface finish. Originally, woodwork was done by hand, utilizing iron axes, saws, and chisels to cut and shape the wood for its intended purposes. Today, lumber dimensions have been standardized and divided into three main categories based on its nominal thickness, or the dimensions of the wood before it's planed. Lumber with a nominal thickness of less than 2 inches are classified as boards. Those with nominal thickness of 2 inches but less than 5 inches are classified as dimension. Those with nominal thickness of 5 inches or greater are classified as timbers. Trees are felled, hauled to the mill, debarked, and placed into storage. Keep in mind this simple rule of thumb. Roughly half of any log winds up as lumber, with the balance recovered as chips, sawdust, or bark. As needed, logs are taken out of storage and carried into the mill where they're bucked or cut into predetermined lengths. The next step depends on what type of sawmill technology is being used. Higher value or larger logs are initially processed through a head rig to break the log down into boards or cants. These boards or cants are then run through additional saws to obtain the desired dimension and length. Small logs, particularly small pine logs, are processed with a chip and saw. This process involves chipping off the edges of the log, then running the square cant through a gang of saws to produce boards. These boards are then run through a trim saw to yield the desired length. Since logs are not perfectly cylindrical, how the log is positioned during the first step of breaking down the log can have a big impact on lumber yield. Sawmill owners have historically relied heavily on the decision of an experienced head sawyer to position the log to maximize lumber yield. Advances in technology have allowed mills to improve yields by using optical sensors to scan the logs. Feed that information into a computer that would then determine how to position the log to maximize yield. After the boards are trimmed, they're stacked and then dried or seasoned to prevent decay and to allow for shrinkage of the wood. Lumber may be air or kiln dried depending upon the required moisture content of the finished piece. Finally, the dried lumber is passed through planers for a trim to their final dimensions and then grade stamped and banded based on the recommended use, defects, moisture content, and mill identification number. Production of lumber in the South is dependent on the availability of an abundant and sustainable supply of trees. Many of today's sawmills utilize automation and optimization technology to maximize efficiency and worker safety. Virtually all of the waste generated in a sawmill is utilized. Portions of the logs that can't be sawn into lumber are chipped and typically sold to pulp and paper mills to produce paper. Sawdust and bark may be used to heat the kiln for drying, or may be used to produce products at other mills.